Hey guys, I'm here with you for another quick tutorial video using XBee, the complete beginner's guide to XBee here. So the problem we are addressing today is that you have a couple of radios, right? You got a coordinator, you got an end device, maybe you have lots of end devices or routers or what have you, and you've got a network up and running, and you need to add another device or a new device to an existing network, a network that's already running. Well, there's a couple of different ways to do that. I'm going to show you a really sexy way. One way you can do that is, if you have your coordinator, this one, right up here connected to XCTU, you can just go over here to this node join time right here. Just look for parameter, NJ, like that, and you can just reset this value. And what node join time is, by the way, is the amount of time that the what's called the join window opens, or how long the join window is open. And there's a couple of things that trigger the node or the join window to open. One of them is to change the value. Another one is you can just unplug and plug your coordinator back into its power source, right? Not very sexy, but you gotta. It can kind of work, but you got to watch out for doing that because it could really adversely affect your existing network and some of the devices that are already on your network. All right, changing the join time here in XCTU. I mean, that works if you're running a computer or if you're running your coordinator off of a PC or a Mac or something. But generally these are meant to be standalone and be running MicroPython or off of some other Arduino type device. All right. The third way you can open that join window is through software, and that's what I'm going to show you, and that's really exciting. All right. Now, just to note here, right, I am not going to be going over how to implement this in Arduino or in Python or in MicroPython. Those have specific libraries. In Arduino, you can use XBee.h, and there is a we're using simple AT commands, so there is an AT command request and response. You're just sending AT commands using whichever library you need. And I think I actually have a video up about how to send AT commands in Arduino already, so keep that in mind. The other thing, I'm going to assume that you already have you've been able to connect your device to a network previously. If not, go back and watch one of my other videos about how to do that. I think I have one up right now on transparent mode. It's just how to set up your PAN ID, your scan channels, things like that. Just the real basics. But once you've been able to connect a device to a network, then this is some more advanced stuff. So a little bit of background. What's going on? What is this join window thing, right? So whenever a coordinator, whenever you plug it in or power it up, oh, you know what? I just realized I've been talking about that, but not showing the screen. By the way, this is the NJ right here. No join time right there. Yeah. So something to keep in mind is that, how this whole join window thing works is that, when you plug in or you boot up your radio, it starts this join window and it's open. The default is 254 seconds, right? And that's what this FE is right here. If we open it up, we can see 254 seconds right there. So the window opens for 254 seconds or whatever time you put in there. Now, when that window closes, it's closed, right? I mean, until something else activates it and tells it to open again. And the ways to do it, as I said, were to change the value or unplug it, or the sexy way through software, which I'm going to show you. And then you can open up the window again to let new devices join. And what's really frustrating about this, and I'm so glad I finally learned how to do this through software, is that you can have an end device, just set up with all exactly the right parameters, and you're trying to connect it to a network, and it should work, but it's not. And so I don't know if you do it, but I got frustrated, and I'd unplug the device, I'd unplug the controller or coordinator, plug them back in, and everything's working. Well, now I know why. It's because that stupid join window thing. So here's what we need to do. Let's get to it, right? Key parameters you need to know about here are extended PAN ID right here. We're going to need to know about that. you're going to need to know the operating PAN ID, and with the coordinator, this is the ID that everything that the network is around. You know, the PAN ID plus the channel. That's what's making it all work. And then finally, this one called association indication right here. And this is the one. It's you know, it was new to me. It's probably new to you too. I don't know. If you click on this and scroll down, you get to see all of this information. I have taken and copied all that out over to here. What the this association indicator is, it shows whether the device is on a network, right? And you know, most of the time you see 0 sitting there because it's successful, it's all connected. But you know, you could see 22, right? 22 is when you know your end device is set up, but it's got the wrong PAN ID. That's what 22 means. 23, and this is the one I was talking about before that's really frustrating, is when you have the PAN ID set up properly on your end device, but the coordinator, the join window on the coordinator isn't open. So you get a PAN ID 23, and we'll see what that looks like. These other ones, we're not really going to be concerned about those right now because they don't really matter, right? So here's the sequence that we need to run to do this in software. All right, we're going to go over here to the console window. I'm going to be doing this all in API mode, so just keep that in mind. If you don't know how to use API frames, you'll kind of see a little bit of it here, but they're pretty quick and easy. All right, very first thing you have to do is we need to send an ATAI command. That's this command right here. Just for those people who have never seen a frame, this is what it looks like. This is an AT command frame. The command is AI. There is no parameter value. All right, so I'm going to send this ATAI command over, right? The response says that response 22, right? Remember 22 is scan found no valid PANs, right? So what this means is we need to, click this here, we need to check our coordinator ID to make sure we get the correct PAN ID. So let's go to our coordinator and we're going to send ATOP. We're going to go get the operating ID. You can do it. Come on. Well, let me disconnect it and reconnect that one. I think I may have unplugged it earlier. Next. Finish. There it is. Fine. Coordinator. Cool. Yeah, here's a cool thing. I went ahead, since I'm using API frames, and you can do this with anything, I've saved my frames there. All right, so we're going to send the ATOP. We're going to get the operating command. So that's our command. ATOP, the response is, it is running on that network, right? And notice that is in hexadecimal, so keep that in mind. We're going to need that for a minute. So lots of zeros, then 2015. Cool. So now that we run the AT command on our ATOP on our coordinator, we get the response, which is the PAN ID. Now we need to go to our end device, and we need to set the end device to the proper PAN ID. The way we do this is we send the AT ID using the correct parameter value, the correct ID value. There it is. Lots of zeros with 2015. Cool. So we're going to apply those. We're going to send that frame. And there's our command. There's our response. Status OK. So we are now on the the end device now has the correct PAN ID. We can move on to the next step, right? So if you'd already configured it properly, you could skip all that number 1 and just run an ATAI command like this, and the status response you get is 23, right? If everything's configured properly, you get 23, which means you can proceed with this method. It means that there is a, right up here, again, 23, a valid PAN ID was found, but joining is currently disabled. So that means we have to open up the join window. Cool, so that's what we do next. We open up the join window. We'll go to the coordinator, and we're going to send the AT command CB with parameter 02. Here's what this one looks like. There we go. AT command CB parameter value 02. Once again, hexadecimal 02, not ASCII 02. There we go. Cool. Apply those changes. Let's send this frame. And what's going to happen here? We're going to send this, and the coordinator is going to have the join window open. And because we just changed the pan ID on the end device, the pan ID is going to go look for networks to join, and so it may just join up immediately. So command AT command CB parameter 02 response. Okay, cool. Let's go over here to our end device and look at that. So that was our last thing. And so since we were gone, we have this modem status device associated. So now the end device was looking for the network, right? Because we'd already sent it over. Now, if you'd already had the device set up with the correct ID, and you had not done step number 1 where you made the ID or changed the pan ID, you could just run this again, like right here, right? You could run it immediately after opening the join window. So that's what you're doing. You're sending a new pan ID to put the end device into search mode for a coordinator or for a new network. You're making the coordinator open up its join window. If both those things are happening in approximately the same amount of time, they'll come together, right? And now the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to test it to make sure that we're going to send hello over to, there's our request right there, send hello over to the coordinator, and there it is, hello on the coordinator, and everything's working. So that's it, really quick, really simple, just a bunch of AT commands. And once again, if you want to put this into your software, your Arduino, your Python program, just go look for the AT command requests and AT command responses part of your library, and just put these AT commands into there, and you can just kind of work out your timing and how to do that. So thanks a lot. It's been good. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know. Have a good night.